So all you saw it finally happen. Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul actually fought each other. A matchup that sounded like nonsense officially been checked off the list. And while most people expected Joshua to come out and make a statement similar to the Ngannou fight, that really wasn't the story we got. The expectation was a quick night and a violent finish. Joshua did get the stoppage, but the way we got there was awkward, slow, and honestly confusing at times. Jake Paul turned the fight into a cardio test, and Joshua looked unusually patient to the point of passivity. So after a strange main event, I want to break down what stood out, what didn't, and what this actually means for both guys moving forward, especially with a Tyson Fury fight still looming for AJ. And real quick, if you're into boxing talk without the fluff, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything. This was never meant to be a real fight in the traditional sense. It only exists because boxing right now runs on attention, reach, and money. Joshua walked into this fight as the representative of the old guard. Jake walked in as the biggest disruptor the sport has seen in years. Up to this point, Jake's resume didn't include an active heavyweight anywhere near Joshua's level. So the assumption was simple. Once the bell rang, reality would hit fast. Joshua would close distance, land something clean, and end the experiment. But the Paul team didn't approach this emotionally. They approached it tactically. From the opening seconds, it was clear Jake had no interest in boxing Joshua. The goal wasn't rounds won, it was time survived. The longer he stayed upright, the more the conversation shifted. And that's exactly what they were aiming for. Jake spent most of the fight moving laterally, tying up, and resetting the pace whenever Joshua stepped forward. He wasn't trying to win exchanges. He was trying to avoid them entirely. That part made sense. What didn't make sense was how long Joshua allowed it to continue. Instead of cutting angles or forcing Jake toward the ropes, AJ stayed patient and followed him around the ring. There was very little sustained pressure and almost no attempt to trap Jake and make him uncomfortable early. When Joshua did get close, the shots weren't sharp. They were rushed, awkward, and mostly aimed at the body. Meanwhile, Jake's guard was low, his chin was exposed, and he was openly clowning. And still, Joshua struggled to capitalize. Joshua was clearly ahead on the cards, but dominance didn't show until Jake physically couldn't move anymore. Once the legs went, the fight changed instantly. That's when AJ finally started landing cleanly. The finish itself was decisive, knockdowns followed by a clean shot that ended it. But by that point, the frustration was already baked into the performance. Joshua calling out Tyson Fury afterward felt inevitable. That fight has been hovering over both careers for years, and it's clearly the final chapter everyone wants. The current talk is still warm-up fights first, then the big one later in the year. And despite how underwhelming this performance was, it doesn't really derail anything. Big fights don't lose momentum because of one forgettable showing. Fury proved that himself. His night against Ngannou was far worse than what Joshua showed here, and it didn't stop people from lining up for the next one. All AJ needs is one solid performance before Fury, and this fight becomes a footnote. Now, the respect conversation around Jake Paul is where things get exaggerated. Yes, it takes nerve to step into the ring with Anthony Joshua. That's fair. But let's be honest about what actually happened. Jake didn't try to test himself skill for skill. He didn't try to fight, he tried to survive. And while that was the correct decision tactically, it doesn't suddenly elevate him in boxing terms. Running was the only option, and it worked for longer than most people expected. But it also confirmed the gap. This wasn't a competitive fight. It was a managed one. What's interesting is what comes next. The cruiserweight title talk is still floating around, especially with divisions shifting and belts potentially opening up. If Jake genuinely pursues that route and beats actual ranked fighters, respect will come whether people like it or not. But there's also the safer path. Big names, spectacle fights, massive audiences. And realistically, that's still on the table. His stock didn't collapse here. Give it some time, attach another recognizable name, and the numbers will still be there. The Jake Paul machine didn't stop tonight. This fight honestly felt like a reflection of boxing in 2025. Pure skill isn't what drives attention anymore. Narratives do. Influence does. And that's why a fight like this can headline while elite contenders wait their turn. In the end, everyone got what they needed. Joshua won. Jake lasted longer than expected. Fans saw consequences, and the sport kept moving. And quick shout, that Anderson Silva finish on the undercard was insane, especially at his age. If you missed it, go watch it. But now I want to hear from you. How did you rate the fight? What did you think of Joshua's performance? And where do you think both guys go from here? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. It helps more than you think. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.